Maybe Tencent will sell their shares in NIO that they're owning, at least according to this article that came out like 2 days ago. And yes, we already have lots of bad news, and maybe this was actually also the reason why NIO was not performing well by the end of last week, because there are ongoing rumors about Tencent and that they might selling their portfolios. Tencent is not only a technology company owning WeChat in China, no, they're also one of the largest investors out there, and actually quite successful ones. And as you might know, they're owning close to 12% of NIO. So this article claims that this difficult macroeconomic environment is forcing Tencent to kind of make some of their holdings liquid. And Tencent wasn't growing as much recently, I think maybe mostly because of the advertisement revenues that they need. And if we are going into a global recession like it looks right now, and China has entered it firstly, then of course advertisement will be scaled back down. And while Tencent is still profitable, there is another reason that the government has asked companies like big technology companies to also do a little bit more on the social side, helping to invest in some social initiatives, government initiatives like some sustainability funds, and so asking Tencent explicitly for money. So this is also coming back to the heart of the so-called technology crackdown on Chinese companies. And so in this environment, it seems like that Tencent needs to sell off some of their holdings. And well, they did so in the past. For example, with JD.com, arguably they sold off some of their shares, and also Sea Limited, another Southeast Asian company which they're having in stakes. They also liquidated some of their shares and reduced it. And now the question is whether or not they may actually also do so with NIO and companies like Pinduoduo. Well, first of all, I'd like to mention that Tencent themselves have continuously declined such kind of rumors, saying there is no external pressure for them to get off some of their holdings here. So that was actually during the earnings call, which they have declined. For example, selling a big stake in Meituan, which declined 9% after the rumor came out. And I think it's a bit of a ping pong play here between the media and Tencent, while it's actually quite natural that at some point in time they want to get rid of parts of this massive portfolio, which has been growing over time in terms of how much they have invested, but also in terms of the value of those investments. As you can see here, these are the values of Sea Limited, Meituan and NIO, which have been growing over time. And so it's just natural at some point in time that there is some sort of profit taking, and that shouldn't be coming to a surprise, really. What's getting me rather suspicious about this article by Investor Palace is that they're only naming 3 companies, NIO, JD.com and Pinduoduo, while if we look at this massive portfolio, these are just some of the company logos in which Tencent is actually invested in. So yes, we have NIO here, but keep in mind, Tencent is also holding 4% in Tesla, which has also risen dramatically in share price and value. They're also holding 12% in Snapchat and 4% of Spotify. So these are also very liquid investments, public traded companies, which they could also sell off, but this article is not mentioning them at all. In fact, if you look at some of those holdings and the value, and also in which categories and industries they are present, I'm not sure why it would make sense to sell NIO right now, which is clearly just in the emerging stages. And at the same time, if the argument is that the government is asking Tencent to get rid of some of those holdings, then wouldn't it make more sense to actually get rid of some of the investments that are actually in areas where Tencent is kind of supporting a monopoly, something that the Chinese government doesn't like to see recently anymore. So all in all, while I wouldn't be surprised if I see any of those Tencent holdings decline, I think this article is rather a little bit short-sighted and not on point if they are naming only those 3 stocks specifically. I'm rather thinking whether or not this is helpful for any short sellers here in the short term to create some additional pressure and overhang, and maybe depressing the share prices of these 3 companies rather. Either way, at some point in time, Tencent will get rid of some of these companies and make them liquid, and also maybe use them in order to invest along with the Chinese government in some of those sustainability areas. However, this is not something that I'm personally rather worrying about, or what gets me afraid about my personal investments in either Tesla or NIO or some of these other companies. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video.